everybody, and welcome to the Aliveness Habit Conversations with Everyday Masters of Aliveness. And I have a beautiful guest on today. Her name is Marcy Barbaro, and she is, so many things. Marcy and I are new friends. We only met a few months ago on LinkedIn, of all places. So my new LinkedIn friend. But when I met her, it was love at first sight. And I knew I had to have her on this show so that I could share her with the world. Marcy is a certified yoga instructor and also a writer, beautiful writer. She's just written a book called Beautiful Humans, There's Nothing Wrong with You. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Available on Amazon as of today. So that's awesome. Yes. But a poet, and she's also a book coach, a founder of the Working Writers Company, helping other people tell their stories. So lots of richness here. And I just wanted to welcome you today, Marcy. It's so nice to have you.
Thank you, Alex. Oh my gosh, I love talking to you. I mean, you are so full of gifts. And we just said a second before you hit record, we would never run out of things to talk about.
It's true. We were just, before we hit record, we were like, stop. We have to capture this. Otherwise, all the goodness, all the nuggets are going to be out there and we're not going to capture them. So, so I wanted, this conversation is always in service of the experience of aliveness, and what does that mean for each one of us, and how do we cultivate our aliveness during the time that we have on this earth, and what kind of things, what kind of habits, what kind of things can we do every day to cultivate that experience for ourselves. And so I wanted to kick off with a question: what does aliveness, what does that word mean to you, Marcy?
Well, this is such a good question. And over the last few days, I had so many different answers in my head, but I thought about it, and it certainly relates to a sense of freedom. But the sense of personal freedom for me is being at ease. So aliveness equates to being at ease. I feel good in any situation, in any conversation, in any location, in my home, in my body, in my bed, with my friends, with my family, in work. That sense of ease is when I really feel alive. The juices are flowing, anything can happen. I'm full of potential, and so is everyone else.
Ooh, I love the word ease. It's funny, right? The word ease sounds so easy.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, wow, like, so many of us struggle to find that place of ease. Right?
You know what? That's why I mention it, because it's a hard one, a privilege to be at ease.
Yeah.
You got to do all the work to be at ease. You got to love yourself. You got to accept others. You've got to be okay in situations that aren't your ideal situation. As we head into the holiday season, we're going to be at different people's houses, and they have different smells, and they have different pets, and they have different foods and conversations that you may not head down, and music you may not listen to. And every time that we get in a situation that is outside of our complete control, there is an opportunity for us to be anxious.
Mm.
And so when we practice being at ease and letting go, like, that is when we feel most alive. Like, I am okay. I'm good here. I can manage this. That's the way I look at it. So yes, cultivating ease, I think maybe is a lifelong project.
Oh my God, I think so. I mean, I completely I love how you frame that, because I think that is the one thing that, I hear a lot in my own coaching practice, is this feeling of like, I just want to feel at ease, at peace, at, relaxed, whatever the words come across. And, relating it back to your book, which I loved reading, by the way, over the weekend, Beautiful Humans, There's Nothing Wrong with You. I can't help but kind of connect back to to those words, there's nothing wrong with you, this feeling. So the question is, like, what is it that stops us from feeling at ease? Like, what is it that we're not letting go of, that gets in the way of us being and feeling at ease?
You know what? I think it's a sense of competition.
Mm.
From a very early age, we're given grades on a paper and we're given, rankings in a sport or whatever it is, and prizes. Now, I understand now they give trophies to everybody, but I mean, we are, even from being an infant, your parents start clapping your hands as you start saying words, and there's all this reward. And so we get a sense of, then now I want to do well at this. I love the rewards. I love the acknowledgement. And that's from the outside, right? So very quickly we abandon that inner voice that says, I like this, I feel good here, this is what I want to do. I want to build the blocks, I want to knock them down, I want to run fast and fall, I want to throw myself on the bed, all these things that maybe we do as children, the way that we play. And then we realize someone's watching us. And so that shifts from an inner view of the world to an exterior view where someone is looking at you. And then once we get into the world a little bit more, we discover this sense of competition that is cultivated very quickly. Like you got the highest mark in the class, or you were the fastest in the 100-meter, or whatever it is. And then that competition creates a feeling of lack.
Mm.
Now I'm not good enough. I'm not there. And in recent years, which is very recent for me, I have decided there is no competition. And there is no competition because there is enough for everyone. You can have this show on YouTube, and I can have a show on YouTube. And I understand they're going to be ranked, and I understand there's going to be views, and I understand all these things can be monetized. But what can't be taken away is your pure joy of doing what you're doing. No one can take that away from you. You can give that up if you start worrying about those other things, if we start worrying about the external measures. But if, when we do things from that childlike perspective of, I'm doing it because I love it, as opposed to I'm doing it because I'm being measured, or I'm going to receive an award or some kind of praise, then we are in ease. We are in joy. We are at peace. Mm-hmm. So I think I've been examining this notion of competition recently. And if you believe, as I do, that the world is plentiful and abundant, then there is no competition. And then we can all have it, right? We can all have that feeling.
Yes. I think that's such a powerful observation, and I feel like, people listening right now might be like, okay, I get it. Intellectually, I understand that, and that makes sense to me. But how do you cultivate the habit of enoughness? How do you start taking steps towards feeling enough? And, what are some things that you can do in order to, just start changing that mindset? Because it's such a powerful force, especially for our young kids too, right? They're really feeling this pinch of like, oh my God, this treadmill starts very young. So I'm just curious what your perspective is on that. What are some things that...
Oh, as a yoga teacher for, I guess I'm in my 13th year now. One thing that we do in yoga all the time, and it doesn't have to be yoga, it can be anything, because it is a physical practice, is checking in with how you're feeling. And this is a wonderful, our intuition is a wonderful teacher, but the signals in our bodies indicate for us what is for us and what is not for us. Now, there's one caveat to that, and that is that we all have patterns. And sometimes patterns are learned in the home environment. So if you grow up in a chaotic environment, let's say there's substance abuse or drinking or arguments, you may end up growing up believing that you need a lot of noise and chaos in your life in order to be satisfied. So we know now that that is actually a learned pattern. That is not necessarily you. You have learned that pattern, right? Conversely, if you grow up in a household where everybody's quiet in the morning and they're reading the newspaper and they don't talk, then you may believe that you require a quiet household in order to start your day. Okay, so these are patterns that we learn based on our environment. But there's another teacher here, and that is your body. So what we're looking for in any given situation is, has my heart rate sped up? So that's an indication of fear, tension. It's also an indication of excitement, sometimes joy. Okay, we're going to learn how to identify those. Some people have like a clenching belly, like a squeezing feeling in your gut. That kind of thing. Your breath can quicken. That can be another thing. Some people get sweaty palms. That's an indication. Other people, the shoulders come up to the ears and the chest is braced. So now we've gone into like a really shallow type of chest breathing, as opposed to moving the entire cylinder of the torso when we breathe, which is what we do when we are in a relaxed state, when we're in the parasympathetic nervous system, the relaxation response. We can imagine the torso of our bodies as a cylinder, and it expands and contracts when we're relaxed. So we want to practice paying attention all the time. I always someone said to me the other day, I was having a great chat with a really wise friend, and she said to me, what needs to change in order to feel good in this situation? And I said, my eyebrows need to relax. I was just like, ooh, I was just knit together with the worry. And so again, this is an indication of, this is not for me.
Right.
So number one, and you can do this at any age or stage or situation in your life, and it's almost instant, but it takes a while to cultivate this awareness, Alex. Like, you don't get it right off, because there's like, you're like, I can't feel it. Yeah, just take your time, get to know yourself again, and then you're going to start to have indications, like someone asks you to go out to dinner with a group of friends, and maybe there's like one person who's going to be at that dinner who you just don't vibe with that person. They're angry, they're sarcastic, maybe you find their conversation topics alarming. There's always those people. So now you have the dinner invitation, and you just notice, I'm starting to become very tight and small. So that's an indication that this dinner may not be for me. Of course, we can go and we can endure these things, and we can practice being present in uncomfortable situations. And if you have been eating well and sleeping well and not too much stress at work and you feel great, then go and practice. But if other things are coming down on you, that is not the time to put yourself in a situation that's going to put you in fight or flight, right? So then you just decline and, say, I'm sorry, I can't make it that night. I'm famous for little white lies. Right? It's probably like a horrible thing to say, but I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And so I've always got something on my calendar if I don't want to go somewhere, and I just say, I'm sorry, I'm not available. So these are things we can do. Does that make sense to you? Do you like the sounds of it?
It does. It's sort of also, for me, what comes forward very much is this, this idea that we live in our heads most of the time. And I know you talk about this in your book, and, competition and comparison and, and insecurity and guilt. I mean, all these things, they live up here, right? These are all constructs. These are all concepts that we buy into, but ease lives in our body.
Yeah.
And as you're speaking to me, I'm saying, wow, like the body is really the pool of wisdom that we completely disconnect from. And I know as a yoga teacher, you know, and I think for you, what's beautiful is that you have this beautiful merging of like body with the yoga and then sort of mind with the writing. And it's just this amazing sort of like, you know, like pool of like yumminess. And but that's, you know, it's the merging of both where they're both working in synergistically, right? And so this ease that you're speaking of, and where you're able to say no from a place of ease, I think it's really about connecting into the body as you're sharing, and being aware of the heart rate and the clenching and the tightness and the tensions. Like these are all signals that tell us that we are a firm no on something and that we have to choose something else. And so you know, as I was reading your book this over the weekend, I was really struck by something, a theme that kept kind of popping up for me, as you're talking about how, you know, we have this sort of obsession with never enoughness, and really it's that aliveness is about choice, right?
Yeah. Oh gosh, yes. I
Just
love that you said.
you kept seeding it through the book, and I'm like, choice, choice, yes, choice.
And you know what? I didn't even know I was doing that. I love that you bring that out because yes, isn't that the secret to feeling free and feeling alive and at ease, is knowing I have a choice. I can get out of this. Like I don't have to dwell here, you know? And yes, I grew up so head on a stick. And as I wrote in my book, you know, I had a really rapid weight gain when I hit puberty. And I was just like, oh, treated so terribly. And I was so ashamed. I had the deepest shame, like I had done the worst thing imaginable. Now we've become so much more accepting of different body types in the last 20 years, which I'm so happy about. But at the time that I was no longer thin, every other person I knew pretty much was thin, you know, so it was really a tricky place to be. And I tried to like work it out in my head. I was trying to solve it. I was like, no, but I'm a good person and I'm funny and I can be interesting and I can go on this diet. And I was always researching. I was always researching a way to fix myself. This was like a huge project. It was a constant project. And so I never lived in the present moment because I was always working on my future self, you know, and I thought that was the only choice I had at the time. You know, so I love that you pulled that theme of choice. And when I look back at my sad 20-something-year-old self, I just think, I wish she knew she had a choice. You know, I just really muddled through for a long time.
That just gave me goosebumps,
Oh,
right? Because I think a lot of us forget in the clutter and the hurriedness. You know, you speak about this as well in your book. It's just that hurried pace that we buy into, that we get caught in, and it's just constant go 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 go, and everything's coming at us. We forget that we have choice.
mhm,
And
mhm.
the choice is what gives us access to all this goodness that we're talking about today, the ease and you know, that love for ourselves and our bodies and the world around us. You know, and I think that's something that you have cultivated for yourself in such a beautiful way. And you know, and here you are sort of, you know, championing that for others. And why do you think that, you know, what is important about choosing?
Yeah, well, I mean, we have a limited time on this earth, but also, you know, our circle of influence. So all the people, our family, our friends, people we work with, we're all energetic beings.
Mm,
So the energy that we bring, I always say to my children, I always say, the energy that you bring to something is almost more important than what you're actually doing.
hmm,
You know, so it might be that you're, you know, my sons were working at Tim Hortons And, the customers were horrible. I have twin 18-year-old boys, and people are horrible to them. And they burn themselves on coffee several times a day because the lids don't go on right or whatever it is. And they slip on the floor. And, people are always yelling at them if they get the order wrong or whatever. And my sons decided that they were going to keep it light. They were going to spend the entire day keeping it light with people, just joking and, flirting with people who came up to the drive-through window, like, you're beautiful, have a great day. And of course, they're working for the first time with a multi-ethnic community. And, they love this guy who wears a turban, and they love this. They've said to me, you don't mess with Indian women, Mom. Like, they are firm, like they are quiet, but they are firm, and they will give you a look like you're dead, and so they're working with all these people of different cultures, and they just went into it and they're like, I want to know everything. And so, yeah, they're working for minimum wage at a job that is not glamorous. It is the most entry-level position you're going to have. And they were beloved. When they left those jobs, they received gifts from other people. And the manager called me up directly to tell me how much she loves my boys. And so that's the thing, the energy that we bring to the thing. It's kind of a long story. Sorry, I'm obviously very proud of them.
Yeah.
But that's why we have a responsibility to make choices, Alex, because we affect everyone around us.
Yeah.
And the energy that we breathe into something, or the energy that we steal, right? So if you come into a room angry, you're taking all the breath out of the room.
Yeah. So I think that you land on such an important point there, because I think one of the things that I hear a lot is, what gives me the right to be joyful and alive when so many people aren't?
Yeah.
It's me the right to have that experience when others can't have it or won't have it, right? What makes it okay for me to be okay if others aren't okay?
And I think it's a responsibility, Alex.
And I
It's
think
a
the way you're
straight
sharing,
up responsibility.
and I love how you're like, well, how are we going to make the world a better place? How are we going to continue, right, cultivating the good stuff if we don't put that energy out there? And it's a responsibility. And I love that you say that, because that's sort of the view that I hold as well. And it's sort of our job.
Yeah. We have to take care with every single person in our lives. Like, we must treat them as though they are the most precious being, because they are. I'm not a person who is grumpy with my family members. Like, it's good morning. How did you sleep? It's holding them. It is, I'm always messaging my friends and just saying, I love you. I say I love you to everybody, because if I want to leave a legacy, like, when we think about that, like, what do we want people to say at our funerals? I so badly want people to say, like, she was just the warmest person. And also, I want them to say that I'm funny. That goes back to the worship of Carol Burnett that I mentioned. But yeah, like, we gotta think about that, because every single minute is how we're building our legacy. And I am the first person, when I'm having a bad day, to say, so I am full of the grumpies today, so you should probably steer clear. Or I've also said, I want you to know that things that come out of my mouth today, that's not really me. That is tired, anxious me. And so I just want to apologize in advance. It's like that scene in Pretty Woman when Julia Roberts says to Richard Gere, I just want you to know I had a really good time tonight, before they even head out on their date. Yeah. And so I kind of do that, like, in reverse, when I know I start off in not a great mood. And I say, I just want you to know that this is not me. I'm apologizing in advance. Right. So, and then people are nice to you, because they're like, oh, you need love. It's that old saying, I need the most love when I'm least lovable. Right. And so then I'm asking them, like, in a nice way of saying, could you please love me today? Like, extra. And then they do. And then you get out of that mood. And then you're back to healing and uplifting.
Hmm. That is really a very intelligent strategy.
Well, I grew up in a house with a lot of yelling and silent treatments and door slammings and things like that. And once I got out on my own and I met some people and realized not everybody lived that way, I was like, there's an alternative.
I
I'm gonna
get to choose an alternative. Yeah.
choose an alternative.
Choice again. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, wow, that's a really, I know I do the same thing actually with my family. If I'm in a bad, like if I feel sad or if I'm in a bad mood or whatever the case might be, if I'm not, I'll declare it. I feel like verbal declarations are underrated.
Yeah, exactly. Because people take everything personally. Like you might not have slept well. And so you're kind of like off in the morning. And then everyone in your household is like, what did I do? What did I
Exactly.
do?
They
Why
make
does
it about them. It's like, no, no, this isn't about you. This is about me. But you
it?
haven't actually.
Yeah, we all default to that, right? So knowing that, even if you got to work, like, and you were like edgy, then you can just look at someone and go, I just want you to know, I still think you're amazing. I'm just struggling a bit today. And then people are like, it's not me,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Oh, it's true. I love that. Very, very smart. If you're listening, this is a good strategy. A good strategy, underrated. Well, I am keeping an eye on our time, and I think we're probably around the time of having to wrap our conversation up, unfortunately. Keep it short and sweet for
Love
people
it.
to dip in and out. But what would you like to leave us with today? What do you want people to know about the experience of aliveness?
Yeah, well, I think that it's a privilege. So let's be, mindful of it. I'm going to say something really strange here, but I'm going to say always put yourself first.
Mm.
Put your health first, put your sleep first, your water intake. Sometimes if you're situations where everybody wants to spend money and you don't want to spend money because you have a project that you would like to save your money for, remember that we have time for everything and we can afford everything. Right.
Mm.
And that might seem like a strange thing to say. But again, it all comes down to the choice. I never look at anything and say, I can't afford that. I say, I choose not to direct my resources to that right now because I have something else in mind with what I would like to do with what I have. Right. And so, yeah, we can have and do and be anything. We just need to, go at it from this place of, I've got it, I can do it, I'm enough, and I put myself first. And so that requires setting some boundaries and just saying, no, that is not for me right now. And when we do that, then we are maintaining our energy. We're not, running ourselves ragged. And again, we have more to give, more to, lift other people up when they need it, meet them halfway when they're having a rough day. So, I have all these health practices that I do. I drink water and I lift weights and I go in nature and all these different things that I do and I don't mess around when it comes to that. And like, if in order for me to show up as my most loving, giving self, I
Mm.
need to do my things. And so there's all kinds of times that other things will encroach on that time and those resources. And I just have to keep standing up for myself,
Mm.
saying, no, that's not for me right now because I want to get my workout in, or I really need to get into the woods, or I need to get onto the water, whatever it is. And all of that, even during the workday, I got to get the heck out of here
Mhm.
because I have to come back as my best self. And that requires me going away and doing this soul maintenance. Right. And so I think that's the thing that I would empower everyone to have the courage to speak up and say what you need. And again, it comes to that checking in. When you're running around with the uglies inside and you're just about to lose it. And I think that's indulgent and it's unfair. So instead, do the soul maintenance that is required so that now you can be full of love.
Mm, beautiful. Wow. Thank you. That is a beautiful place to end. You are such an inspiration, such a joy, such a champion. We need more of yous. I wish I could just clone you and I could just put one of you in every corner of the earth.
Yeah, well, I think
The
there
world
are
would be a
others.
better place. Yeah.
I think there are many, Alex.
For sure there are. Absolutely. But it's just wonderful to be able, for me, it's a joy to be able to share you, and to just share this energy, because this is the good stuff, right? This is the stuff that we need to be sharing right now. And it matters. It really does. So
Thank you. Well, what you're doing is matters. So keep it up yourself. And I adore you. I really, really do. I also think it's amazing that I wore my orange necklace today, which I haven't worn in ages.
you knew I was showing up in orange, didn't you?
That is the weirdest thing. I have not worn this necklace in months.
Wow.
And anyways, today I was like, I really need orange today. And then I came on and you're all orange, golden hues, pinks. I love it. Green. Yeah, there's a nice little connection there.
I love it. Beautiful. Well, I'm just going to close with a little shout out to your book again, because it is really stunning and beautiful, and everyone needs to read it. It's called Beautiful Humans, There's Nothing Wrong with You, and it's available on Amazon. So go and get it. It's a perfect present for Christmas. Anybody that needs a really tangible, useful, just approachable and full of wisdom and love and all the yummies. It's a beautiful book. So thank you for writing that and for putting that out in the world. And thank you for being here today, Marcy. And we will be chatting extensively in the future.
Yes, we will. Thanks for having me, Alex.